3, 2, 1.
My talk title today, as you may have seen in the e-blast, etc., is What's Going On? Now, I put a question mark on it at the last minute before I sent out the e-blast on Friday. Originally, it didn't have a question mark. Originally, it was just like a statement. What is going on? As in what? The word what? What is going on? Now, the what I was talking about originally is the universe, more specifically, the mind of the universe that we all share, that we all individualize, that power, that presence within us that is attached to the infinite intelligence, which of course is available to all of us. It's out there, even to the animals and the minerals and the plant life in their own way. The Science of Mind book, which is where a lot of the teaching that we teach here comes from, as well as many other books, ancient wisdom and modern as well. The Science of Mind book states that we are surrounded by a mind or intelligence that knows everything, that the potential knowledge of all things exists in that mind, and that the abstract essence of beauty, truth, and wisdom coexist in the mind of the universe, and that we also exist in it and may draw from it through the channel of our own minds. So all this info, all this power, all this energy, it's just energy, is floating around, right? And it's represented in various peoples in various ways, and it's shared with us in various ways through some of these various peoples and through intuition and like I said, learning from others and even osmosis sometimes. So what's going on with each of us in our use of this intelligence? That's my big question. That's my big question for all of you out there, but it's for myself as well. What is going on with each of us in our use of this intelligence that is here, that is right now within us? Now, you might remember, and I mentioned this many times before, the universe doesn't care if you're famous, if you're some sort of social media influencer, if you're book smart or street smart, if you're born in poverty or wealth, live in a third world country, or up in a penthouse way up there in Manhattan. Because the universe is impersonal. It gives alike to all. It is no respecter of persons, and it values each alike. Its nature is to impart. Just to impart love, impart intelligence, impart healing, and ours is to receive it. That's it, to receive this power, this energy, this love, this divine intelligence, this healing. What's going on is love in its most pure form. And our job, as Emerson spoke about, is to get our bloated nothingness, our junk out of the way. Get them out of the way of the divine circuits. Because when they're in the way, when our ego's in the way, and I mean by ego when we are not communicating and communing with our divine selves, that ego, that gets in the way. That gets in the way of goodness coming into our lives. That gets in the way of our circuits firing properly to inform the law of cause and effect, what to bring into our lives, the good stuff. Our job is to get receptive to that infinite intelligence using spiritual practices, etc., etc., etc. Our job is to decide philosophically, decide as the perspective you have on all of life and all of your life, decide that this divine energy flows through us, is there for us, and that we are going to use it for our best life. So I want to ask you a second question. How do you answer when somebody said, "What's going on?" I say that sometimes instead of "How are you?" Those usual chit chat kind of polite greetings. I'll say, "What's going on?" So when somebody asks you that, do you immediately get into all the stupid stuff that's in your way? The pandemic, who's sick, who's having a hard time in life, things that are wrong or negative in your life or somebody else's life, do you immediately go to that? Or do you start with words like, "I'm fine," which either means you're not good, you're lying, you're not fine, or you just don't want to talk about it at all. So that's kind of a, "Yeah, I'm fine, don't bother me" kind of thing. Or because there's so much bad that you don't want to get into it. You feel there's so much negativity going on in your life that you say, "I'm fine," just to shut people up for that reason. I had a boss once who wouldn't accept if I said "I'm fine," even if I said that in a positive way. She wouldn't accept that. If she asked me how I was as I came into the office that day, if I didn't say, "I'm fantastic, everything's great," or something of that ilk, she'd ask me again. At the very minimum, she wanted me to come in as if, even if something not so great had just happened. She would tell me, you could say, "I'm doing the best I can right now." That is the way, that is a focus on moving forward versus "I'm fine." Because "I'm fine" or "I'm okay," those are finite negatives usually that leave little room for growth. And they put kind of a heavy weight, not only on your shoulders, but on your heart, your motivation, your future. When you say "great" or "fabulous" or some version of these things, you're not lying. What you're doing is projecting the infinite possibilities that are already available to you, projecting what you are declaring you're going to have, even if it doesn't feel like it's there right now. You're projecting your intent. You're projecting, most importantly, your instructions to the law of cause and effect, the law of correspondence, the law of attraction, whatever you want to call it. You're acting as that magnet that I talk about at the beginning of every Sunday celebration, that magnet to fabulous, to great, to fantastic, or whatever. Even, like I said, even if they aren't present at that particular moment, you are beginning to attract it. You are showing the universe, the law, your intention, your projection. That's what the universe does. That's what's going on. The universe acts on your projections, but only you can instruct it to do so. Only you can do the work in mind and, of course, in action to inform it to do what it does. What it does is put whatever things need to be put together to bring that experience into your life. But only you can decide what is a lie. What is a "leave me alone"? What is a projection of your future? Now, I know many times we just answer that question as if it's chit chat, as it's polite chit chat. The other person a lot of times doesn't really want to get into it with you, what's really going on in your life. They don't need a biography. It's just, part of friendly banter. But what's most important is the answer you give, the consciousness, the perspective of life you are projecting in the answer you give. That's what's going on. Again, I know a one-time answering with "I'm fine" isn't going to make a huge difference in your life experiences or in your consciousness. But how many times do you answer that way, either verbally or mentally, or both? That's what adds up to a projection. That's what adds up to a declaration to the universe. That is what is telling the law what's going on. So what do you do about that? Well, of course, there's many tools, and we've talked about these many tools, spiritual practices, etc., etc. Spiritual mind treatment, like Caressa gave earlier, or an affirmative prayer, is an intentional statement unto this law. It is an active thing, embodying the conscious, concrete, and explicit idea of our desires. That's kind of the best way to put it. It's conscious. These ideas become concrete because of our faith, and explicit because of our specificity. And the unqualified faith, of course, that we have in this universal law and the principles that we talk about, that's there to work for us, through us, as us, with us, to manifest those desires, whatever they are. The reasons behind saying I'm fine or I'm okay adds up to a declaration or proclamation, and you have to decide whether that's what you want to be. Do you want to live a life of I'm fine? Is that what's going on? Or I'm okay? Is that what's going on? Because when you keep saying that over and over again, it becomes a treatment to the brain, and a treatment to the mind, and a treatment to the law, which listens to you, which responds to you, which manifests from you. As Ernest Holmes wrote, if we wish a certain good, we must instill into our own minds a realization of this specific good. And then, as the idea is the mold we place in mind, it will be filled by the substance necessary for the complete manifestation of this good in our lives. A different way to say what I just said a couple of minutes ago. Now, that good could be a thing, could be an idea we've decided to have in our lives, or to have in our perspective in our lives. It can come from many places. An ally could help bring it, like a therapist or a coach or a counselor or a friend, teacher, a book, maybe some other experience. There's no limit to what's going on except for the ones we put on them. Now, I don't care about the pandemic. I don't care about the cray-cray far right or the cray-cray far left. I don't care what your social position is in your life, what your physical condition is, or whatever. What I care about is how you think about it, how you answer what's going on. What's going on is what you decide is going on, because what's going on is your relationship with the divine in you. It's time to remind ourselves that we must perceive all the darkness and facts through the principle of light, perfection, wholeness, and completeness. That is living this teaching. That doesn't mean we ignore what's going on. It means we respond to it through the truth of knowing the possibilities, the infinite possibilities of this divine love and this divine intelligence. Now, I'm not telling you anything new. You're here to solidify, concretize your self-awareness as the God of your experience. Maybe some of you haven't heard this before. And if you haven't, welcome. Welcome to knowing the power that you have and the power that you are. But if you've heard this before, maybe this is the moment that you solidify it in the actions you take in mind and body. It's time to be vigilant. Self-awareness is just not enough. You got to be vigilant. You got to be vibrant. You got to be voracious in living this principle. Plato said, the part can never be well unless the whole is well. Well, the part is our experience. What we are doing with our mind is the whole. So when we are in a healthy connection and communion with the divine that is within ourselves, its love, its intelligence, its wisdom, and we are putting those ideas, that power, that energy into our personal experience. Living the science of mind and spirit demands that we train our mind and our heart mind and our gut to perceive life beyond the facts. to perceive it through the deep interconnectedness of all things. There is an intelligence surrounding us and within us that awaits an imprint from our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs to bring into our experience that which we desire. And when the light grows brighter, the dark and the shadow might battle, but truth versus the imperfections of mankind, truth will bear out if you allow it. If you train your mind to see and live truth, even if the facts don't show it. I totally get it. I hear the news. I'm out there. I feel and sense the fear people are having again, and the tiredness, and oh my gosh, and the mask wearing, et cetera, et cetera. It's in the miasma of what seems to be becoming the norm of conflict and despair and the pandemic. If we within all that can sit in the truth and see behind the crap and see the truth. Like I said, it's not about ignoring what's out there. It's the rising above what's out there and using the condition as an opportunity to step up, to take action, to live, act, think, perceive, and be in truth, to decide for yourself what's going on. Not anybody else deciding for you, especially the news. You decide yourself what's going on. One day, two frogs were hopping in and out of a watering hole, and they accidentally hopped into an extremely deep hole, and they tried to leap out, but to no avail. So they began to yell and croak, as frogs do. And other frogs heard them and came to help. And the other frogs looked over into the hole, and said, we don't know what to do. The hole's too deep for us to help you. And they're waving their front legs as frogs do, and saying, sorry, you might as well just give up and die. There's no hope of getting you out of the hole. But both frogs there in the hole, they kept leaping and trying to get out of there, and they did this for hours and hours and hours, and eventually one of them just gave up. He was so exhausted, and he died. But the other frog in the hole, he kept trying and leaping, and the people up on top, they're yelling at him, just stop, try to enjoy, the time you have left. But finally, that frog in the hole, something came over him, and he leaped up so high that he was able to get to the edge and grab the edge and use his back legs to push himself up and out of the hole. And the other frogs, they were amazed that he could do that. And after he got out of the hole and caught his breath a little bit, the frog went around and thanked the other frogs for egging him on. The other frogs, what? Egging you on? No, we were telling you to stop and relax and just let go and let life pass and bless what you did have. What those other frogs didn't know was that one frog down there that got himself out was deaf. He didn't hear them telling him to stop. He interpreted all the waving at him as egging him on. Sometimes we have to turn a deaf ear to what others tell you is impossible or tell you what's going on. We have to turn away from that condition and respond with healthy choices, yes, but choices centered in truth. Whether what's going on is a question or a statement, remember what's going on. The answer to that is always God, the divine in you. That's what's going on. Thank you so much. Namaste.